The Washington Post is dealing with fallout from its decision not to endorse a presidential candidate for the first time in 36 years. In a statement last week, the Post publisher and CEO William Lewis said the paper was returning to its roots by not endorsing a candidate. He added the Post sees this as a, quote, statement in support of our readers' ability to make up their own minds on this, the most consequential of American decisions. Lewis said the Post would not endorse any future presidential candidate either. For more, I want to bring in David Folkenflik. He's a media correspondent at NPR. David, good evening to you. The Post and the union representing its writers say the paper's owner, Jeff Bezos, was the one who made the decision not to publish a presidential endorsement. What more can you tell us about this?
Well, that's absolutely right. And we were able to confirm that when we broke the news slightly ahead of Will Lewis's announcement on Friday. Further reporting has only deepened that. The editorial page editor, David Shipley, had essentially greenlit earlier this fall an endorsement for Kamala Harris for presidency over former President Donald Trump. Why does that make sense? Well, the Post's reporters have spent years documenting, particularly during the Trump presidency, allegations of wrongdoing and even illegality by the president and his associates. The editorial page, which is run separately and obviously overseen ultimately by the publisher and the owner, has declared Trump to be unfit for office repeatedly, and even more so a threat to the democratic experiment in this nation. And yet Bezos said no. He said he wasn't comfortable with endorsing Harris and didn't want to proceed. It has been presented, as you said, by the publisher as a decision to be an independent newspaper, which is a motto and slogan of theirs stretching back decades. But it does seem funny to make this final decision, one that the opinion page editor tried to talk Bezos out of as recently as last week, I'm told, just days before the election that's on a knife's edge.
What is the significance of Bezos making this decision, given the Pentagon and NASA contracts that he either wants or has in the works, and the timing of this decision?
Well, he would say it has nothing to do with it. And to be fair to Bezos, when Trump was in office, he had a lot of business ventures in front of the government worth potentially billions of dollars and didn't flinch from hard-hitting reporting. But right now, as you say, Blue Origin, his space company, has a $3.4 billion contract with NASA. You've got Amazon cloud computing services company, where Trump basically blew up what was expected to be a $10 billion contract for their services with the Department of Defense. Amazon filed suit alleging Trump had interfered. The Pentagon withdrew the contract and then split it up and gave Amazon a piece of it, but it cost them billions of dollars that they had anticipated, although not proven, that they would have gotten without any political involvement there. So what you see is a guy who's one of the most powerful people in the world, Jeff Bezos, one of the richest, one of the most seemingly insulated from political pressure, just ahead of a political election, saying, I don't want to endorse Donald Trump's opponent. People, including the former legendary executive editor Marty Baron of the Washington Post, who had seen Bezos as an incredible ally of his during his time at the Post, saying this is cowardly, this is spineless, and it will only encourage Donald Trump to try to pressure the Washington Post and other news organizations more vigorously should he get back into office.
So we've been talking about some of the responses, but how are readers and subscribers responding, and do we expect to continue to see more fallout?
Sure. Well, I've been able to report earlier today for NPR that more than 200,000 subscribers canceled their subscriptions in the 3 days since we broke this news and the Post made its public announcement of its decision to pull back from endorsing it all. That's an extraordinary figure. Usually if a few hundred people cancel, if a few thousand people cancel, that's a very big deal. It's a way that people who are subscribers who feel an investment, a paid subscription to the Post, that's a real connection. They're severing that connection in that way. Well, to have 200,000, it's 100 times more. It's such a big way of rejecting the Post decision here that it's a problem. It's causing an enormous tumult inside the Post. And separately, as a matter of principle, you're seeing fallout. I've seen we know that 2 columnists have resigned from the Post entirely, 2 members of the editorial page who are writers who help formulate these positions representing the establishment of the newspaper's considered judgment. They have stepped down from their positions on the editorial board, saying that they can't be part of it. At one point, one of those writers said that she felt that Donald Trump was not yet a dictator, but that this helps hasten that day. Another editorial writer who stepped away had been somebody who just won a Pulitzer last week in recognition of his work, talking about how tyrants are able to exercise power and repression in foreign lands.
David Folkenflik, thank you for joining.
You bet.